A Texas woman was pregnant with twins, but at 15 weeks, one was delivered stillborn. She asked to abort the other because of a risk of infection, but she was denied by the hospital. And as the New York Times reports today, the woman returned to the hospital about 2 weeks later feeling sick. Her pregnancy was terminated out of concern for her health. She had to be admitted to the intensive care unit for sepsis and acute kidney injury, both life-threatening conditions. And that article offers in excruciating detail the plight of numerous women who have encountered pregnancy complications and were denied abortion procedures until they themselves faced significant medical problems. And given the spate of abortion bans now enacted around the country, including one in Georgia just today, stories like that have become tragically increasingly common. And that is certainly the case in Louisiana, where an abortion ban in that state is on hold while a legal challenge plays out in court. Louisiana's abortion ban would make exceptions for the mother's health, as we're seeing elsewhere across the country. The law's language is extremely vague, and that complicates matters. In the case challenging the state's trigger ban, a doctor wrote in an affidavit that she had a patient who was 16 weeks pregnant when her water broke. The pregnancy was not viable, and continuing the pregnancy could be life-threatening to her. The patient requested an abortion. But citing Louisiana's new abortion ban, the doctor's attorney advised against it. So according to the affidavit, the doctor wrote that the patient, quote, was forced to go through a painful, hours-long labor to deliver a non-viable fetus despite her wishes and best medical advice from doctors. She hemorrhaged. She lost nearly a liter of blood. And in another affidavit in the case, Dr. Rebecca Gee, the former Louisiana health secretary, expressed her profound concerns regarding life-saving treatment for women under the state's ban, saying in part, quote, if doctors are not comfortable or able to anticipate the legal implications of their medical care or how they may be prosecuted for providing that health care, then they may not act according to their best medical judgment and training. Fear of punishment, aligned with lack of clarity on how this law will be enforced, can lead to devastating consequences for Louisiana women, as well as moral distress for the clinicians who care for them and have taken the Hippocratic Oath to do no harm. Joining us now is Dr. Rebecca Gee, a practicing gynecologist and former Louisiana Department of Health secretary. She's also the CEO and founder of Nest Health. Dr. Gee, thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Can you tell us a little bit more about what prompted you to write that affidavit in support of the case to block Louisiana's trigger ban? How did you get involved?
Yeah, listen, I've spent my whole life, my adult professional life, taking care of women. I've trained to be an OB. I spent 8 years both in medical school and in residency learning how to take care of women. Nest Health takes care of women. To see the case where we cannot do what's right for our patients, and the first time in my career where we have to watch women, as Dr. Williams so well described, during the time that the ban was in place, she watched a woman liter on nearly a liter of blood, women coming in with infections that we would normally be able to take care of. It's just unconscionable, but I'm a mother of 3 girls. You know, I have 9-year-old twins. And in my affidavit, I also wrote about the case of a 10-year-old girl who was raped. You know, there was a case in Ohio that we've heard about, you know, girls who are victims of incest or rape. And we're going to require children to have children tearing apart the insides of their bodies, creating a lifetime of mental health and physical consequences. This is just, it's not what we should be doing in the free world. This is on the wrong side of history. It's on the wrong side of science. And the politicians who wrote these bills do not understand the nuance of what happens in pregnancy. They've never had to sit at the bedside of one of these patients, watching them bleed, watching their infection progress, and it's unacceptable. And so I'm doing everything I can to try to make this a more reasonable situation for doctors and their patients.
From your experience and from where you sit and the doctors you speak to, can you tell us more about the consequences of Louisiana's abortion ban in terms of providing life-saving health care to pregnant women?
I mean, it's chilling. So, you know, healthcare workers work in teams. So as physicians, we have scrub techs, we have nurses, we have anesthesiologists who help us provide the care for patients. So just say a case of sepsis. You have a woman who comes in, her water's broken, she's infected, she starts to become febrile. You start to see the sepsis continuing, her organs start to shut down. At what point is she nearly dead enough under this bill that we can intervene? It's not clear. And if we make the wrong decision, that's 10 years in jail for all of us and a $100,000 fine. So we're putting our own, those of us who've spent our whole lives trying to care for people are now putting our lives, our livelihood on the line to do what we feel is right. And what about the anesthesiologist? I mean, who's going to be willing to do that procedure, given that there isn't clarity in these laws, given that the legislature hasn't protected the decision-making that happens between a doctor and her patient? And so this is going to have a chilling effect, already has had a chilling effect, and it's scary. I mean, this is to protect the life of the mother. Well, what is the life of the mother? What about her kidneys? What about her bowels? What if she's permanently infertile? What if she loses consciousness, but she's still alive? I mean, what these laws forget is you have to have a living mother to have a living baby. And, we've unfortunately prioritized the wrong things. We have to, regardless of whether you think abortion should be a right, which I do, these laws should do a much better job protecting patients. And I don't think anybody should want a 10-year-old to carry a pregnancy to term. I don't think anybody should want a woman to die in pregnancy. And by the way, these laws are being promulgated in states where maternal mortality is already at its worst. Louisiana was once the 50th worst state, now 49th. We have a long way to go to protect women, and this is a step backward.
Dr. Rebecca Gee, practicing gynecologist and former Louisiana Department of Health Secretary, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your insights with us. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.